This is a 2007 Toyota RAV4. It's a front-wheel drive with a 2.4 liter engine. And what I'm doing here applies to all different variations of this car between the years of about 2006 and 2012. This car had a very bad squeaking noise coming from the rear suspension. Every time you go over a bump, it's squeak, squeak, squeak. And it became kind of unbearable. So what I've set about to do first is to identify the source of the noise. This is kind of complicated because it's a multi-link suspension and it could be any of the several control arms and bushings that is causing the noise. So here's how I'm going about it. Jacked up the car and removed the wheel, and I've placed this floor jack right under the rear knuckle. Next I am loosening the joint of this suspension one by one. And each time I loosen one of the joints, I jack up the rear end to see if it'll squeak or if it quits squeaking. So after I did this with a few of the joints, I finally got to that joint that's back there. It's the inner joint on the rear, on the upper control arm. And when I loosened that joint and jacked up the suspension, it did not squeak. So this told me that the squeaking is coming from that joint. I did try greasing the joint, but that was not enough. So what I'm having to do is replace the entire control arm. The bushing is probably damaged. These control arms are different right to left. I'm going to include a link to an affordable version of this control arm if you need it for your car. And I'll include links for both right and left. This control arm has a wire harness attached to it. And the wire harness attachment points are held with brackets with little 10 millimeter nuts. So we got to loosen those first. And then that inner bolt is a 17 millimeter head, and so is the nut that's on the other side. And same thing up here. These are 17 millimeter on either end. And I'm hoping it'll be kind of straightforward to just loosen up these bolts and take out the suspension arm and replace it. Okay, so here's what I did. I loosened all the bolts inside and outside. I removed the outside bolt. The through bolt comes out pretty easily. Then I took this pry bar and I slipped it underneath from the back, from back here, and then I just pried this out. It came right out, and now the control arm can come out pretty easily. We'll see how it goes back in. That could be more interesting. So here's the old control arm and the new control arm side by side. There's a bushing on one end, and then on the outer end, this is actually what's called a rose joint. Okay, now I've got the new control arm threaded in at both ends, the outer end and the inner end. And people always ask, how did you do this? And the answer is, you just do it. And as one hint, it helps to remove the shock out of the knuckle. That gives you a little bit extra degree of freedom so that you can get everything into position. It just gets a little bit of thuggery and finesse at the same time. Imagine that, thuggery and finesse at the same time. One thing you want to watch out for is that this spring has a seat at the top. You want to keep it lined up at the seat so the spring is seated correctly. So now all that remains is to tighten everything up, and there's one hint that I'm going to give you here, that to tighten everything up, first put the jack underneath and lift up. Okay, just lift up so that the suspension is in its neutral position, and at that point tighten up, because that will hold the bushings in the best position, the neutral position, when you tighten, and they will not get damaged. Right, so everything is tight, and now when I jack up this suspension, as you can see I'm jacking it up, there is no more creaking noise. Whether I jack it up or release it. The only creaking noise came from the jack itself, and before there was a pretty horrible creaking noise coming out of the suspension. It's fixed. Thank you for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and catch you in the next one.